physical activity. They are all relating to food behavior of people. And energy restriction inhibits cancer cells and extends lifespan in animals. And this statement is true to its type to the Japanese people. Okay, because compared to other Asians, Japanese eat very less. Okay, so their lifespan is very long. And there is also the positive associations between the overweight and cancers of the breast. And it is overweight is also related to not only one type of cancer, but is wider aspect of cancer from breast to prostate cancer. And overweight increases risk of cancer recurrence. It not only uh, increases the risk of occurrence, but also causes of the recurrence of the cancer and decreases survival. And physical activity is inversely associated with the cancer, and so it is an important aspect of daily life. So physical activity is a must for overweight people. So there are many terminologies we have been included to show the relationship between nutrition and cancer. Mostly the fats, saturated fats, protein, the over intake of proteins, the phytoestrogens, the carbohydrates, the fiber, sugars, and glycemic index of food, and fruits and vegetable intake, and these non-nutritive sweeteners. Okay, so there are also other things like alcohol intake, the coffee and tea intake, method of food preparation and preservation, and this real cancer treatment. We say the cancer chemotherapy, cancer prevention recommendations, nutrition and physical activity recommended for this kind of people, and nutrition and physical activity recommendations for cancer survivors. So there is a strict color code system of fruits and vegetable intake for prevention of cancers. Okay, it is believed at least 3 types of color food to be eaten per day. Okay, the Chinese use 5 types, 5 color codes. Okay, just for red, purple, orange, yellow, green, white, and they must be included in the diet in a regular basis because they are the important source of phytochemicals. And the concerned vegetable and fruits, for example, for lycopene, that reduces the lung cancer and skin cancer is tomatoes because they have this pink grapefruit, this pigment. Okay, so then red purple for anthocyanins, the berries for beta carotenes, these colorful fruits, and for cryptoxanthin, the flavonoids. This is for peaches, oranges, papaya, nectarines, and for this concentration of lutein and zeaxanthin, maybe this you can take these green vegetables. And for the sulforaphanes or the indoles, producing compounds from these crucifers, and for white greens, so allyl disulfides or sulfides, you can take from these leeks, Orion, garlics, and the chives. Okay, then there are some strict guidelines for the cancer to prevent the cancer. One is choose a diet rich in variety of plant-based foods, eat plenty of vegetable and fruits, maintaining healthy weight, and to be physically active, and drink alcohol less, and select food low in fat and salt. Okay, and prepare and store food safely. So, and it is the main cause of cancer is tobacco, and do not use tobacco in any form, but alcohol would be limited. Okay, so then diets contain both inhibitors and enhancer of carcinogenesis, and animal studies also test the effect of food and nutrition on cancer and provide guidance for epidemiological studies, because many kind of studies are first tested with some domestic, these laboratory animals. Then let's go from fat, and the high intake of fats, mostly the saturated fat, is the major cause of risk of breast, colon, lung, and prostate cancer. And high fat diets are associated further with obesity which is linked with cancer of the colon, rectum, esophageal cancer, the gallbladder cancer, the breast, endometrium, pancreas, and the carcinogenic effect in the kidney. So more effectively, the animal fat is associated with increased risk of breast cancer in women, and higher omega-3 versus omega-6 may reduce risk of the breast cancer. So omega-3 and omega-6 containing food, the oils, or the unsaturated fatty acids could be the alternatives to use against the saturated fats to reduce the risk of the breast cancer. And the low-fat diet containing less than 20% fat may reduce the risk of recurrence of breast cancer. Recurrence भनेको एकचोटि क्यान्सर लागिसक्यो ट्रिटमेन्ट गर्यो फेरि saturated fat खायो भने there is also the chance of recurrence of breast cancer. So again, the low-fat diet is the solution or the prevention measure to the breast cancer. So another term related to energy and physical activity, the total energy intake is strongly associated with breast cancer in post-menopausal women. So the physical activity may have a protective effect for them, and women who usually spend an average 4 hours per week in physical activities had low risk of colon and reproductive cancers. So हप्ताको 4 घण्टा पनि exercise नगर्ने वुमेनहरुको लागि there is high risk of colon and the reproductive, endometrium or other kind of cancers. So there are many forms of cancer. Obesity is linked to the breast, colon cancer, endometrium, esophageal cancer, gallbladder, the pancreatic cancer, and the kidney cancer. And it is also a risk factor for cancer recurrence. So the main point in the modern food consumption practice is to reduce the obesity. Okay, obesity means the deposition of fat or deposition of adipose tissue or this replacement of watery tissue in the body. So this is obesity is linked to many kind of diseases, and one is the cancer. And in cancer, it is the main cause of. It is also it may cause many. It may be the reason of many type of cancers. Then let's go to protein, and it is a bit confrontational in studies because it is difficult to isolate effects of protein because high protein diet are sometimes related to high fat and low in fibers. So low protein diets seem to reduce the risk of cancer while it is increased by very high protein intake. And increased meat intake is associated with the increased risk of colon and advanced prostate cancer. And it is mostly due to the intake of red meat instead of the white meat. So if the diet is also lacking the fiber, and the fiber-rich diets are associated with protective effect in colon cancer. And if it is high, then the high intake of vegetables were inversely associated with colon cancer, but high fiber diets also tend to be lower in meat, fat, and refined carbohydrates. So intake of high fiber, dietary fiber is associated with reduced risk of cancer, colon cancer. So this dietary fiber we'll study in a different lecture. So then you know the terminology glycemic index. The food low in glycemic index, they are very good again to prevent the cancer. And high glycemic index diet are associated with many kind of cancer: the ovarian, endometrial, breast, colorectal, pancreas, and the lung cancer. And the main focus is to eat on the naturally produced and the less processed food. Okay? So and refined sugar र अरु धेरै चाहिँ प्रोसेसिङ गरेको खानेकुरा भन्दा अलिकति र किसिमको फुड भयो भने you can improve or you can lower the glycemic index. Okay, then fruits and vegetables, and it is believed the fruits and vegetables have been found to be associated with low risk of 128 out of 156 dietary studies. Okay, then increased consumption of fruit and vegetables is associated with low risk of cancer of the type the oral cavity cancer, esophageal cancer, stomach, colon, rectum, and the gallbladder cancer. And evidence less strong for hormone-related cancers such as breast and prostate cancer. So they are not related to any type of fruits and vegetables intake. Okay, so just the prostate, the breast cancer, they are not related to, they are not associated with the intake of fruit and vegetable intake. So people have developed cancer tend to have low intake of raw vegetables, leafy green vegetables, and these root vegetables and cruciferous vegetables also. And these vegetables are lacking flavonoids and lignans. Soya grains, vegetables are associated with low risk of sex hormone related cancers. Okay. So, and they are low in energy, good sources of fiber, and they have enriched content of vitamins and other minerals. Then bitter fruits and vegetables are also the good sources of antioxidants, vitamin C, selenium, and other phytonutrients such as carotenoids, flavonoids, sterols, and these disulfide compounds, indoles, phenols, and terpenes. So these phytonutrients are associated, are involved in prevention of cancer. Do not yet know what is the protective agent to best to use food sources. So there is no any hard and fast rule to use this kind of fruits and vegetable in a regular source, but indeed this color code system might be good to be considered. Okay, kati khane, kati rakhne, there is no hard and fast rule, but this should be the part of the regular diet, and the color code you have to mention the color codes. At least 3 colors to be mixed in your daily diet. Okay. Then plant-based foods may prevent cancer by inhibiting hormone-dependent steps, suppressing free radical production, serving as bulking agent to dilute carcinogens. For example, selenium, and stimulators are physiologically active and anti-cancer enzymes. They are all these plant-based food having phytochemicals pathway to prevent the cancer. That means, I repeat it, they inhibit hormone-dependent steps, they suppress free radical production, and third one is the serving as a bulking agent to dilute carcinogens. For example, selenium, this vitamin E and selenium, and stimulators of physiologically active and anti-cancer enzymes. Okay, then I didn't go to the cancer chemo prevention, but it is not a part of nutrition. Then supplementation in persons at high risk for esophageal gastric cancer in China. It is one example. Study in the area of China with low diet in micronutrients and very high risk of esophageal and gastric cancer. Beta-carotene, vitamin E, and selenium at 5 times the recommended dietary allowance is associated with a significantly lower mortality from all cancer patients. Okay, so for cancer patients or the post-cancer recovered patients, you can suggest high intake of beta-carotene, vitamin E, and selenium, or you can increase up to 5 times than the required dose. Okay. Then there are also some studies, several studies suggest that food high in calcium may reduce the risk for colorectal cancer, and that calcium supplement may reduce the formation of colorectal polyps. Okay. So then, however, there is evidence that high calcium intake, especially the supplement, is associated with increased risk of prostate cancer. Then bottom line, get calcium through food sources. So calcium alone, if you have a direct intake of calcium supplement, this is not enough to prevent the calcium, because it is a high intake of calcium is also the cause of prostate cancer. So the best idea is to get calcium through food resources. Then there is also the relation between the lycopene, the tomato color, and the cancer risk prevention. And lycopene is a red-orange color found in tomatoes and tomato-based foods. And the studies show that consuming tomato products reduce the risk of some cancers, but unclear whether lycopene is responsible. And this natural lycopene is okay, but this artificially produced lycopene does not help to prevent any kind of cancers. And no evidence that supplements are safe and effective in cancer prevention. That means. Okay. Then also there are also studies on the relation of cancer risk and preserved meats. And some studies link eating large amounts of preserved meat to increase risk of colorectal and stomach cancers, mostly from the red meat, because may or may not be due to the nitrite deposition, nitrite found in meat. The cancer is associated with stomach and this colorectal cancer. And nitrites can be converted into stomach to carcinogenic nitrosamines, okay, which may increase the risk of stomach cancer. There is histidine in meat, and this histidine are sometimes changed to histamines. Right? They are the nitrosamines. Right? Masu khanako risk kai ho. Histidine भन्ने amino acid is automatically converted to histamine, and histamine is a unlikely form of amino acid that may cause cancer. And the vegetables and fruit retard the conversion of nitrites to nitrosamines. यो amine मा change हुने condition चाहिँ fruits and vegetable ले चाहिँ कम गर्छ. Okay. Then the cancer is when is associated with higher meat intake, but it depends on the techniques of preparation. Frying, boiling, and grilling meats at high temperatures creates chemicals that might increase the cancer risk. Okay. Then there are some safe techniques to reduce such risk by braising, steaming, poaching, stewing, and microwaving. They are safe methods than frying, boiling, and grilling. Okay, for the soybean and the cancer risk, then we are very poor consumer of soybeans, but it is very high rate in some countries. And the soy contains several hydrochemicals, phytoestrogens, which have weak estrogen activity and appear to protect against hormone-dependent cancer in some animal studies. And it has not shown that the soy supplements reduce the cancer risk. And higher doses of soy may increase the risk of estrogen-responsive cancers, for example, breast, endometrial cancer in certain women. And breast cancer survivors should consume only moderate amount of soybean, because soybean also has high nitrogen and a high protein that may lead again to the prostate cancer. So then alcohol intake with the carcinogenesis mostly related to cancer of mouth, pharynx, larynx, esophagus, lung, colon, rectum, liver, and the breast cancer. And appears to act synergistically with tobacco, and alcohol and tobacco consumption at the same time is prohibited. And malnutrition associated with alcoholism may also be implicated to cancer-related alcohol and the cancer-related cancer that relates to alcohol intake. So then coffee has been investigated as a possible risk factor for a variety of cancers, but does not appear to be associated with increased cancer rate. A regular drinking of green tea and other sources might be the replacement agents to coffee and other industrially produced this wither tea and के भन्छ त्यो instant tea भन्दा green tea चाहिँ that is better. And consumption of very hot drinks may increase the risk of esophageal cancer. Very tato चिया, coffee, they are not likely to consume, okay? And because they tend to show the risk of the esophageal cancer. Then there is a abundant, very interesting history of the artificial sweeteners produced in some carbonated drinks. Example, Coca-Cola. And for example, there's some countries also banned these artificial sweeteners to be which have been used in the food as a food additive. One example is cyclamate, banned as food additive in United States in 1969 and saccharin in 1979 after being associated with gallbladder cancer in mice. And under public health pressure, saccharin returned to the market, and it is still used in Coca-Cola and other chocolates. Okay, they have been used. The saccharin have been used in chocolates, Coca-Cola, and other carbonated drinks, and even it is carcinogenic. Okay, then aspartame, this is also a sweetener used in chocolates, and no evidence implicating it in increased cancer risk, but it is also the artificial sweetener. So there are five types of artificial sweeteners present in the industrial processed food. One is acesulfame K, aspartame, neotame, saccharin, and sucralose. These sucralose, aspartame, saccharin, they are even used in large amounts in industrial food processing industries. Okay, so let's go to the diabetic, hyperinsulinemia, and the cancer. The increased body mass index may promote hyperinsulinemia and the metabolic syndrome. And the insulin resistance, hyperinsulinemia, higher estrogen levels, and insulin-like growth factor may act synergistically to promote tumor growth, particularly in the mammary tumors. So then for naturally occurring carcinogens, aflatoxins in peanuts, saffron in plant oils, tannins in grains and grapes, benzopyrin formed by smoking meat and fish, they all cause they limit the food safety actually. जस्तो तिमी मासुलाई चाहिँ धुवामा सेकायो भने आगोमा सेकाउने चलन छ नि, but that may cause this benzopyrin formation. Right? It is a carbon ring present due to smoking in meat and fish. They are not desirable to be consumed, and naturally found in plant foods like celery, parsley, fig, mustard, pepper, citrus oils. Most of the aflatoxins, right? They are available as a toxic fungus infestation in many kind of food and food items. They are also not desirable because hepatic enlargement is due to aflatoxin, right? And this kidney enlargement, this nephrotoxicity is due to aflatoxin. A kind of toxin related to mycotoxin, we say ochratoxin. Okay, so then pesticides, they are also they limit food safety in the public for the public health reason. Then choose in season locally grown produced foods as a safe entirety to be consumed. Then rinse fruits and vegetables and remove outer leaves before eating, because there may be the persistence of pesticides, and use proper food storage to prevent growth of fungal carcinogens. I gave you two examples. One is antioxidants, these mycotoxins, and marinate protein foods to decrease cooking time. Okay? So marination, this marination means, marinate means you can mix with the spices and oils for a while. Then when it is well mixed, then you can cook. Okay. Then use cooking methods to avoid contact of foods and food drippings with flames. And then another is use lower cooking temperatures while it is a protein food. So there are some strict guidelines to prevent cancer. You can read yourself that choose 100% juice if you drink fruit and vegetable juices. So there are some guidelines some smart guidelines for cancer prevention through nutrition. And you can read it yourself. I am not interested much because it is very simple. It is simple regulations in day-to-day practice. So there are some little changes to reduce breast cancer. Other form of cancers you may control, but for these prostate and breast cancer, they may be related to the lifestyles. Okay, reducing alcohol consumption, breastfeeding, avoiding obesity, being physically active. There are further guidelines in line to food management. Okay. And also there are lifestyle changes, recommendations to prevent colon cancer. One is to increase your physical activity, eat more vegetables and fruits, limit intake of red meat, avoid obesity, and avoid excess alcohol intake. Then for esophageal cancers, the best advice to reduce the risk of oral esophageal cancer is to avoid all form of tobacco, restrict alcohol consumptions, restrict very hot liquid drinking, and avoid obesity. Then for prevention of pancreatic cancer, avoid tobacco use, maintain a healthy weight, remain physically active, eat 5 or more servings of vegetables and fruits each day. Then for prevention of prostate cancer, limit intake of animal products, especially red meat and high-fat dairy products. And eat 5 or more servings of vegetables and fruits each day. Then for prevention of stomach cancer, eat at least 5 servings of fruits and vegetables. Then stomach cancer rates are falling due to reduced infection with is a kind of bacteria that is related to the intake of red meat. Yes, pylori we say. Okay? Then at present there are no nutritional risk factors for brain cancer, leukemias, and the ovarian cancer. They are different than the normal cancers we talk in this lecture. So diet recommendation for cancer survivors the cancer survivor may harbor undetected primary or disseminated cancer cells. The cured cancer is at increased risk for other primary cancers in the same organ or other organs if the food is not safe and the man or woman is not physically active. The general dietary guides are also appropriate for recovering cancer patients. The dietary regimen should avoiding stimulating growth and spread of remaining tumor cells, provide maximum protection against the new primary tumors. And limit total fat intake to 15 to 20% of the total calories, and monounsaturated fats are preferred than the in this approach. For example, monounsaturated fats, example olive oil you can take. Okay, and aim for 10 to 12 daily servings of a variety of whole vegetables and fruits, because you need to have the intake of 5 times the dietary recommended level of these micronutrients and vitamin E and something others. Then consume 4 to 6 servings of whole grains daily. The breast cancer patients should eliminate or severely restrict the alcohol intake. Prostate हुनेले मासु र दुधको प्रोडक्ट खानुलाई लिमिट गर्नु पर्यो. ब्रेस्ट क्यान्सर संभावितले they should eliminate or severely restrict the alcohol intake. Okay, so consider a vitamin E supplement 200 international units per day to replace deficit from the reduced fat intake. Okay, our dietary cancer patient survivors like vitamin fats intake कम त recommend गरिन्छ, but there may be the challenge of deficiency of fat soluble vitamins, so that should be supplemented. For example, vitamin E supplement 200 international units per day to replace deficit from the reduced fat intake. And the standard dose multivitamin daily not exceeding 100% of the recommended dietary allowance. Okay, your micromineral level चाहिँ बढाउनु पर्यो, but vitamins you have to limit not exceeding to 100% of the dietary recommended dietary allowance, we say RDA, and this does not replace cancer fighting foods. है तिमीले जति मल्टिभिटामिन खाए पनि युज गरे पनि दिस बजारबाट किनेर खाए पनि they cannot replace the natural multivitamins. The function of natural multivitamin is present in natural foods. So exercise moderately, 30 minutes daily walk for an example, okay, and maintain desirable body weight. Okay. Oh, what is? So they are just recommendations for the cancer survivors. So next day we will discuss on diet and diabetes, diet and the kidney disease. Okay. So केही छ आज सोध्नु पर्ने केही छ सपोर्ट गर्नु पर्ने मा गर्न सक्छ कसैले फुड टाइममा गर्न सक्छ कसैले साइडमा गर्न सक्छ कसैले इथनिसिटीमा गर्न सक्छ. Okay. They we say individual cases by age, by ethnicity, by color, by gender, by type of food, by season of food produced, and त्यो के हो this is a case. एउटा एज के हो एउटा स्टडी गर्ने केस हुन सक्छ. फुड टाइप इटन, अल्कोहल कन्जम्पसन, बेसिक केस है. केस मीन्स it has no replicated information. हामी नर्मल रिसर्चमा के हुन्छ we use the replicated data, right? But in case studies there are no replicated data, just some information available for certain status. Hey, this we say case control studies. बुझ्नुभयो?
को कुरा हुन्छ नि जज एक्युरेसी के कस्तो हुन्छ त
हैन यस्तो हो तिम्रो इन्फर्मेसन ग्यादर गर्दा एउटा मात्रै स्टडीलाई हेर्ने होइन. देयर मे बी एउटा टाइममा एउटा स्टडी हुन सक्छ अर्को टाइम ओभर टाइम देयर मे बी नम्बर अफ स्टडीज रिलेटिङ टु दैट पार्टिकुलर केस फर डिफरेंट रिजन्स. ओके you can summarize the information from this. कुनै एउटा केसको मात्रै कुनै पार्टिकुलर केसको मात्रै होइन कि एउटा पार्टिकुलर केसको ओभर टाइमको स्टडी चाहिँ यु क्यान टेक है एज ए इन्फर्मेसन मटेरियल. रिभ्यू गर्ने भनिन्छ रिभ्यू इज द गेटिङ समराइजेसन अफ दिस केसेस ओभर ए पिरियड अफ टाइम, सर्टेन पिरियड अफ टाइम.
अनि सर
क्रस सेक्सन भनेको चाहिँ त्यही एउटै कुरालाई रेप्लिकेटेड हुन्छ कि क्रस सेक्सन जस्तो त्यही काम कसैले ओभर टाइम एजमा एज रिलेटेड फ्याक्टरमा गर्छ कसै स्टडिजहरू कसैले कुनै न कुनै फर्मको त्यही केस कन्ट्रोल स्टडिजको रेप्लिकेसन हो कोलाटरल स्टडिज क्या कम्पाइलेसन अफ स्टडिज. केस कन्ट्रोल स्टडीलाई वी नर्मली से दिस मेटा एनालाइटिक स्टडिज है. एउटा इन्फर्मेसनको लागि मल्टिपल टाइममा मल्टिपल अथरहरूले के भन्छ नर्मली दिस इज क्रस सेक्सनल स्टडी है. केस कन्ट्रोल स्टडी भनेको इन्डिभिजुअल स्टडिज बट क्रस सेक्सनल स्टडिज आर द कम्पाइलेसन अफ दिस cases. Hey, simply normally or if you do some meta analysis 5 वर्ष भित्रमा यो डाइट खाउँदा कस्तो किसिमको क्यान्सर प्रिभेन्सन भएको छ दिस आर क्रस सेक्सनल स्टडिज है. 5 वर्ष भित्रमा एजमा के छ त्यो फुड टाइपमा के छ जति इन्फर्मेसन त्यो सेक्सन भित्र भिड्छौ नि दिस इज क्रस सेक्सनल स्टडिज. एउटा सेक्सनमा क्या एउटा सेक्सन जेनेरेट गर्ने क्या एउटा पोर्टफोलियो डेभलप गर्ने त्यो एउटा त्यति टेन्युर भित्र यसको एडभान्समेन्ट के छ है. नर्मली तिमीले मेटा एनालिसिस भनेर गुगलमा खोज्यो भने मेटा एनालिसिस भन्यो भने दे मोस्टली इन्क्लुड क्रस सेक्सनल स्टडिज है.
अनि सर
भनेको त सिम्पल कम्पेरिजन को मान्छे व्हाट डु यु मिन बाइ को क्यापेयरिङ एट द सेम टाइम है. जस्तो तिमीले कुनै दुईटा चीजको मात्रै कम्पेयर गरेको एउटा नन क्यान्सर पेसेन्ट्स अदर चाहिँ क्यान्सर पेसेन्ट्स है अथवा एउटा चाहिँ बिरामी भएको मान्छे एउटा स्वस्थ मान्छेको स्टडी इट इज कम्पेरिजन अफ द कम्पेरेबल ग्रुप्स स्टडी अफ द कम्पेरेबल ग्रुप्स वी से कोहर्ट. कोहर्ट स्टडी चाहिँ धेरै लामो हुन्छ 15 वर्षसम्म 10 वर्षसम्म. लेट अस से one doctor is studying the blood profile of this ब्लड बायोकेमिकल प्रोफाइल अफ ह्युमन ए डिफ्रेन्ट एस्पेक्ट कोही मान्छे बिरामी भएर गयो हस्पिटलमा एउटा डक्टरले के गर्न सक्छ he make a cohort studies for comparison between two groups एउटा बिरामी नभएको मान्छेको रेगुलर र बिरामी भएको मान्छेको रेगुलर चेकअपको 5 वर्षसम्म 7 वर्षसम्म 15 वर्षसम्मले जुन इन्फर्मेसन कम्पाइल गर्छ नि दुईटा ग्रुपको that we say this cohort studies है अथवा normally cohort studies are also included in meta analysis है खास the group comparison हो cohort studies भन्ने the simple group comparison है cross sectional a simple meta analysis बुझ्यौ
हजुर सर थ्यांक यू सर अनि सर यो ग्लाइसेमिक इन्डेक्स भन्नुभएको थियो नि त्यसको एकपल्ट फेरि भन्नु
यस्तो छ यसको चाहिँ त्यसमा भएको सुगर अथवा सोलुबल कार्बोहाइड्रेटको इन्फर्मेसन अनुसार there is a index developed you can google it out and food having low glycemic index that means low starch content low soluble sugar content is good जति glycemic index कम हुन्छ त्यति नै फुड त्यति राम्रो है
सर यो हाइपर
इन्सुलिनिमिया एन्ड डायबिटिज च्याप्टरमा है जस्तो फाइटोकेमिक्स पढ्ने बाँकी छ न्युट्रिसन एन्ड डायबिटिज पढ्न बाँकी छ त्यसमा डिस्कस गरौँला है खास तिम्रो डायबिटिज टु टाइपको हुन्छ क्या एउटा हाइपो इन्सुलिनिमिया अर्को हाइपर इन्सुलिनिमिया है टाइप 1 टाइप 2 भन्छ त्यहाँ वी विल डिस्कस ओके anyone please we have 2 more minutes to discuss
अनि सर यो आर्टिफिशियल स्वीटनर जुन हुन्छ नि हैन सर
हजुर
त्यसले नेगेटिभ इम्प्याक्ट जस्तो त्यसमा कसरी त्यसले गर्छ यो
यस्तो आर्टिफिशियल in our digestive tract there is no enzyme produced to digest this kind of sweetness है त्यसो भएपछि के हुन्छ स्टोमक मा हाम्रो इन्जाइम सिस्टमले त्यसलाई पचाउन धेरै इन्जाइम निकाल्छ के है and धेरै इन्जाइम एकैचोटि रिलिज गर्दा के हुन्छ our system becomes lethargy and becomes old and there may be produce some tumors okay overload पर्छ के इन्जाइम सिस्टमलाई त्यसैले this is resultant effect they create resultant effect into our digestive tracts so they are not desirable so aspartate तिमीले बजारमा अथवा नेस्लेको अथवा इन्डियन डेरी प्रोडक्टमा इन्डियन स्वीट चकलेटहरु किन्यो भने चकलेटको बाहिर खोलमा लेखेको हुन्छ व्हाट इज इट कम्पोज्ड अफ aspartame saccharin or other compounds है सुक्रालेज पनि हुन्छ त्यसैले सुक्रालेज हो कि aspartame हो कि saccharin के युज गरेको उनीहरुले आफ्नो त्यो कम्पोजिसन लेखेको हुन्छ है normally people don't study the what is written in the cover of the chocolates है म चाहिँ हेरेर खान्छु है तर धेरैले हेरेर खाँदैनन्
अनि सर यो क्यान्सरमा
त सबै कुराको ओरिजिन हो है त्यसैले जेनेटिक चिजको पनि पढ्न सक्छ that is sure because everything is lead by genetic makeup है त्यो हुन सक्छ nutrition and diabetes and nutrition and kidney stone diseases. Let us aim for today. Let us have a great day ahead.